Hi everybody, my name is Eli.
I'm Jason.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Caden.
And I'm Jaden.
And we're the Yahoo and the Torah YouTube channel.
We are so glad you could join us. Today is the Shabbat, which means you should be resting today. And today we're doing a little bit of ministering, just as YHWH did. He went to the tabernacle, he went and ministered, he went and read the Torah, and we are going to do that as well. We are in Exodus, we are learning about the covenant right now, we are learning about how the Ark of the Covenant was made, we're learning how the tabernacle was made, and we're just going through that right now. We found no commands as of recent other than the Keep Shabbat sub-commands, and that is what we're going on. I think we're about 50 commands in, and then we are going to figure out how the tabernacle is made. It is a little confusing and a little bit of dry reading, but it's very important that we know it because we may be building it ourselves one day.
And he takes a big breath. So we are attempting to teach everybody and allow everybody to talk like normal, right? And it's hard to sometimes talk on video normally. It is, we're trying to get it. I've been doing videos for so long on YouTube. I'm getting better at it, where instead of I run 500 miles an hour and try to get to my point, we talk and we discuss, because we are sitting here actually discussing. Not only we're sitting at a little, maybe a 3-foot table, if that. I don't even think it's a 3-foot table. It's a little round glass table. But we extend this table to everybody that is out there. And we know that there are a tremendous amount of little families, not a tremendous amount, but there's a lot of little families that will sit and listen, and we will talk. And, we are talking like you guys are around this family, because you guys are. This is our immediate family, and you guys are our other immediate family. And we really appreciate the time that you guys will spend reading with us the Word of Yah, putting together the laws, statutes, and commands. And we are so excited that today is a Shabbat. We busted it through the week. And if for those who are keeping Shabbat on this day, there's only one day that is blessed. And so hopefully you guys receive these blessings from Yah. And again, we really appreciate your time here. Now, we went through our commands, and I'm gonna rebrief these real quick, because we removed what we had as command 44. Because command 44 we had was do not mix leaven with blood on the sacrifice. And I don't know how that actually made it to our list, because we shouldn't be doing Levitical sacrifices. Why should we not be doing Levitical sacrifices? Why should we not, Eli?
Because that's for the Levites, we can be cursed for strange fire.
So what does that mean? I mean, what if you're from the tribe of Levi or something? You trace it all the way back, and you can figure out you were from a tribe of Levi or something. Why shouldn't you be doing sacrifices?
One, there's no temple, no altar from Yahuwah, and also we're not in the land.
Well, back in the day, they'd make their own altars and they'd slaughter on top of them. So why shouldn't we do sacrifices today?
Because we have Yeshua.
Right. Yeah, we have Yeshua. We have YHWH. And again, there are no J's in Hebrew, right? It wasn't invented till the year 1529 was the letter J. So anytime you hear the name Jesus, even though that is what we've been programmed with, Acts 4:12 says there's only one name under heaven by which man may be saved. And so we need to look to the correct name. And everyone's like, it doesn't matter. God knows my heart. The Bible also says the heart is a very wicked thing. And if we know and we've been educated with what the name of our Creator and the name of His Son are, and, the proper names, we should be using them. You're not going to, I wouldn't respond if somebody yells, hey, Bob, I'm Jason, right? I'm not going to turn around. I might, because I'm in the jungle and I wouldn't hear anybody yelling Bob anywhere. I'd be like, wow, who's that? Who's screaming for Bob? But you know what I mean? So let's go over these real quick. And commandment number 1 is be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over all living creatures. The herb bearing in every tree is for food. Man and woman should build their own families. Master sin. What does that mean, Jaden? To master sin.
I would say overcome it, make sure that you know what sin is so that you are not sinning.
So you know how to master karate and judo and stuff. How do you master sin?
You don't let it take hold of you. You basically have the willpower to say, no, I will not sin. You have to know that the Torah, what you know, is going to be stronger than what's going to cause you to sin.
Yeah, so it's understanding first and foremost what sin is. How do we understand what sin is, Jade?
We have the Torah. It tells us what we break is sin.
Right, so what we're reading right here, these commandments, these are what we would understand as what sin is, right? And so, if you go and you have an abortion, you're not multiplying, right? You're not being fruitful either because you're killing your offspring. If you're supposed to replenish the earth and you're burning down every rainforest and you're just destroying the earth, you're not replenishing the earth. And so there are a lot of ways that you would want to understand and how to master sin. Now, we just had a big conversation with, I guess basically we exposed what caffeine does to people. So it actually hurts you, right? Would that be a sin? Would you want to master something of this nature?
There's no commandment saying you should drink coffee, right? There's no commandment saying it.
There's no commandment that says we shouldn't drink viper venom either.
Right. But it's not healthy for you. It's like
we're supposed to take care of our temple, our bodies.
Yeah, take care of our temple. And so, I got some repenting to do for all the years of drinking coffee. I know everybody has a lot of different things about it, but between 26 to 52% brain flow blood is not given to you when you drink coffee. And so we're basically working. I don't know what that does. Does that make us a half engine, or does that just incapacitate us to some way? And I know every coffee drinker out there is like throwing their coffee cup at me. But I'm just saying what it is. And so as the people of Yah, it's very important that we are able to figure this stuff out, because we are literally in the end of the age, where the end of the age, it says that knowledge will be given to everybody, right? And I mean, if you have the internet, for all the great evil the internet is, the internet also has all of the knowledge of the world. Like when I was going to school, even when I was a kid, I've talked to you guys about this before, the only way, if I wanted to go find out how to do anything, the only shot I ever had was to go to a giant library, right? We didn't have the internet. Prior to the internet, we had things called bulletin board systems, which were they started to house some of the data together, and it was very cool. But prior to that, there was nothing. You had books. Encyclopedias, right. Encyclopedias and books. And, if your parents were, like, rich, they could buy a set of encyclopedias, but those things were, like, $2,000. They were, like, really super expensive. But you wouldn't have any other way of any kind of information. I remember sitting in my mom's encyclopedia set, and she wasn't rich. I think we had, like, the 1970s version of the encyclopedia, which was still awesome. But that was the only way to learn. So now we are in a place where you can do any kind of a search whatsoever, and you can find out, right? Like if you want to know ingredients that were in something, you would simply go and research. And if there is something that is outside of the will of Yah in the ingredients of anything, you would probably not want to do that. All right, so let's move on. Mastering sin. All right, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Don't eat the blood. Don't eat and do not drink the blood. Walk before me and be perfect. Guard YHWH's covenant. Every male child shall be circumcised at 8 days old. Teach your children the commands and guard the way of YHWH. Remember YHWH's name for all generations. Right? And so I skip over the Passover stuff, but I shouldn't. Keep the Passover, right? And under the Passover, there's a ton of little things, right? It has it's not sub commands, but it is checklist of how to keep Passover properly. And so within this, we actually have A through N, and it has none of you shall go out the door of this house in the morning, no stranger eat thereof. There's a lot of stuff within that. There's also a lot of stuff within, not a lot of stuff, but keep the feast of unleavened bread. And we have a couple of checklists under that. And there is one Torah for the stranger and for the Hebrew. And that one is one that most people can't figure out. That is such a simple command. But Eli, tell me why it's a simple command, but tell me how people are falling away from this.
Because they don't want to follow the Torah.
What is the motto of? What is the actual thinking of a typical Christian church?
It's on my heart. It's on the cross. I can sin as much as I want, and I'm forgiven. Yeah,
because the laws of God are on the cross. And if you're saying that, then we're saying that being multiplying and be fruitful and not eating of blood, you're saying that all of these things right here are things you can do. But people will argue, oh no, Jason, the Holy Spirit convicts me of what to do. And as they sit there and eat pork, and I mean, I've seen that, and I've heard them say that, and I've heard them pray over the pork as they're eating the pork, and they're letting me know that, that we're under a different set of guidelines. Well, it doesn't say that, right? It says there's one Torah for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. If you want to come into Yah, you are still going to be keeping his Torah. All right, next one. Sanctify all firstborn to Yahuwah. We still don't know what this is exactly. We will get to it, but I guess this is one of the reasons we're reading through the Torah, is trying to figure out the fine details. And we've read the Torah, I don't know how many times, zillions of times, and there's still things like the temple and if you don't read it for details and you don't read it to put it together in your head, then you're simply reading it. And so we're actually putting this stuff together a little bit more than we did before, because we're trying to pull these commands out of here. All right. Do not bring Yah's name to naught. What does that mean, Kate?
That means his name should be honored all the time. When you call him God, that brings it to naught, or taking his name. There's a lot of people.
His name's not God.
Yeah, when you call him God, though, you're taking his name to naught. You're basically defiling his name. His name should be revered as holy. It should be his name.
There's a million zillion ways they use our Creator's, even the pagan name, as a cuss word. And I guess as Ray, what's that Ray guy's name?
Ray Comfort.
Ray Comfort. He would tell people, do you bring your mother's bring your mother's name to naught? I mean, what do you do? Is that disrespectful? Would you talk bad about her? He's like, no. So why would we do that with our Creator?
You missed 20.
Did I miss 20? All right, that's why I have Nicole. All right, there are no mighty ones before Yah. Yeah, absolutely. And so if this is a problem here in the Catholic Church, is that I just did a thing this week, all right, maybe it's last week, on the exposing it on our truth website, 153news.net, which kids do not go to, please. It is a place for only adults, because the truth is very dirty, and it's stuff you'd probably want to see as adults, unfortunately. I exposed the whole praying to Mary thing, and how that was counter to what the Bible says. There's absolutely no place. And number one, I'm sure Mary was probably the awesomest woman that has ever walked this land, that she is able to be, chosen as that one who would be the mother of our Messiah. But it doesn't say she's reigning with Messiah. It doesn't say that you're supposed to pray to her. It doesn't say that you're supposed to worship her and you have a set of rosary beads and you sit there and rub each rosary bead as you pray to Mother Mary. Mother Mary, forgive us our sins, or something of the sort. That's not the way it works. None of this, that's not real. And so if you are doing that, you have more mighty ones, because that's your mighty one. And this is the same for the Christians. They have made Brother Shaul their mighty one, right? When they take one or two verses out of context and they free themselves from the law and they say it's nothing. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but their God becomes Brother Shaul. And so you've just basically trumped Yah's will, and these are the laws that you're tossing on the cross, what we're talking to right here. All right, this is a very important one, and here we are today. Yay! And it's really cool doing these live, or doing them on the same day that we're going to broadcast them, because it feels like we're right there with you guys. And so I'm hoping that we're able to start doing these more live in the mornings, where we can actually get these out. We've just had terrible struggling times with rain and schedules and things, so we've been doing it a day or so ahead so that we can break some point during the day and get these out to you guys. But here we are. Remember the Shabbat. There's not a lot right here, right? There's not a lot of sub-commands. There's nothing to it. Jaden, what is the main requirement for today? Rest. Do we pay anybody?
No. There shall be no work done. There shall be no cooking done. There shall be no fires started. There shall be no servants. Nothing should work. It should be all resting, and it should be a day of honoring Yahuwah.
No buying and selling either.
What did you guys have for breakfast this morning?
Muffins.
Oh, it looked really, really good. I can't eat the kind of muffin. I can't eat the same food they have anymore, and it was killing me watching these delicious chocolate muffins that my wife has brewed up for them yesterday, and banana crumb muffins, and they looked so good. You guys are so lucky. You have no idea how lucky you are. which is the reason you need to protect your health at all times. You need to protect your body and your temple and not let it happen like I have let mine done, which is, again, a huge sin, allowing my body to be owned. Okay, so the Jewish folks have hundreds of commands. One is like they hire the goys to flip their lights on and off.
That's like having servants work and you pay them. It's just like you shouldn't have.
Well, the thing is, they don't consider the goyim as servants. They consider them as like dogs. So
Yeah.
Just like, all right, you're kind of a loser of a human being.
Lesser human.
Yeah, and so that's what they do. There's a lot of they'll take all their toilet paper. But bidets are more effective if anybody wants to invest in those.
I think it's like, I don't know if it's bidet or it's bidet.
It's a bidet.
Bidet.
I think
It's like BIDET.
It changed our life. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when we saw the North American people fighting for toilet paper in the aisles, I went to Amazon, and for $39 or something, we ended up getting a bidet, and the days of toilet paper are gone.
But anyways,
Way too TMI.
the Jewish people will take toilet paper and they'll shred it all up. They'll rip piece of it, like rip an entire roll up, so they don't have to rip the toilet paper.
Right, so they're not ripping the toilet paper on Shabbat.
Something else you can't do, they say you can't do, is write on paper.
Yeah, so at some level, then it becomes so treacherous to keep Shabbat. If you're talking about resting, not letting your oxen work, not letting your anything work, and then you have, you rip toilet paper and you have the goys and hire this. So when I was a Christian, I will tell you, every single day after church, every time we went after church, we always went out to this place. I think it was called Prime Cut or something like that. So we went to church. We'd go there and we'd be there at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock was Sunday school, and we'd sit there, and it's just as every church across North America, anywhere, probably everywhere, I don't know. We would go in there, and I would sit with Sunday school, and then we would go from there, and after Sunday school, then we would go into church, and from church, it would get out right around noon. Every time it's around noon, and we would go to Prime Cut. We would have people serving us. We would pay for our meal. We would give them tips to our meal. And not only that, is when Sunday church ran around, they would pass the plate. And so we were paying our pastor, everybody, at the end of the service, everybody's in a mood because the pastor has, he's giving you the message and your heart's right there, and they break the organ and the piano in, and then they come out with the four guys and they start passing the plate, and you're supposed to give 10%, right? That is a myth. That is a Christian myth about the whole 10%. And yes, I realized Yaakov gave Yah 10% of everything he had at that point, but this was for the
Levites.
The Levites, right? And so, if you were supposed to give your tithes to people, how is this supposed to work, and why was it supposed to work?
Because back in the day, the Levites didn't get paid. They didn't get the land portion. The people were supposed to basically provide for them, give them housing. This is not like the modern pastors, where modern pastors go home in their penthouses and they get all their money, right? They have a living. The Levites were set up to be taken care of as the people.
Yeah, and so you would not. It's wrong, right? Part of it is we're not supposed to be giving money out. We're not supposed to be paying things, and so if we're paying the rent of the church and paying for your pastor to speak and paying for whatever,
especially on day you consider your Shabbat, you're breaking commands even on your Shabbat.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they don't believe that a Sunday is the Shabbat. They believe it's their Shabbat, or that Jesus is the Shabbat.
Yeah, not only are they worshiping on the wrong day, but they're not even making an attempt to even follow what the Bible says to do according to the Shabbat. We hear one guy say something out of a single verse of the Bible, then we're going to go live in sin. We're going to go basically live it up.
I've heard it from everything. Everybody says, Jesus is my Sabbath.
And that makes no sense. I don't understand that. But
it doesn't say that. Doesn't make. You might have Messiah in our Shabbat. He should definitely be a part of it. But there should still be a Shabbat. It's a 7-day cycle. And like I was telling folks before, if you guys are on calendars that have you shifting your dates over so you're not in a 7-day increment, if you're going, you go for an entire year, but your Shabbat ends on say a Wednesday, right? And then your year changes, and then you got to go to a Thursday, and you celebrate the Shabbat the next day, and your week becomes one day. This is out of the 7-day cycle. There's nothing biblical that says we should be ever outside of the 7-day cycle. It makes no sense. Our Creator is intelligent enough and has engineered this enough that He knows calendars. He knows how the sun works. He knows how the moon works. He knows how all this works. he doesn't need to restart a year over to do this, right? And that's what you were saying. Months. Yeah.
Like a new moon.
Yeah, like a new moon. People will start a Shabbat. I've heard of people on the new moon, they will actually start a Shabbat. And it only gives you a 2 or 3 day week. And that doesn't make any sense at all. That means the cycle of sevens are over and we haven't done something right. So I encourage anybody who is not on the correct calendar. And I know there's a lot of discussion on this lunar calendar and a lot of things. And everywhere I've never found this. I can't find it where Joshua stops the sun for a little bit. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and you can read stuff into that. But if you are on the wrong Shabbat day, even if your heart thinks you're in the right spot, the Bible says the heart of man is extremely wicked, you're on the wrong day, right? You got to get the calendars right. And so it's very important. All right, let's continue on. Let's roll. All right, honor your parents. Why is this important, Eli?
Because it's a command.
Because your parents know what is right for you. Your parents are not going to tell you to go play in the street where there are cars. They are going to keep you out of the cars. And if you honor your parents, you're going to live longer because they've been through it. They know that the road is dangerous. They know that the cars are coming to hit you.
Yeah, Eli, what are some things that people would do to not honor their parents? What do you think that would look like?
Disobedience, run to the road when they say not to.
Yeah, probably talking back.
Yeah, disrespect.
Raising your voice to your parents is probably a bad thing. I mean, it would feel disrespectful, from the people that held you guys as little itty bitty babies and raised you, and then you raise your voice to your parents. That would seem like it wasn't honoring the parents. I'm not sure that's a command, but I mean, that's as a parent, that would feel to me like something that we should be doing. Now, honoring your parents, does it always feel good, Eli?
Yeah, most of the time. Sometimes.
Does it? Let's keep it real.
Okay, as a teenager, no. Yeah, as a teenager, growing up,
Eli's a liar.
You're gonna have your there's the teenage moments. There's always some moments of pushback, some moments of frustration, and you don't understand.
You think you're right. We went over this a lot in the our Youth for Yah. We go over this a lot about how we don't want to always listen, and when we hit the teenage years, we fight back, and we don't want to do what our parents say because we think we know it, but we really don't.
Yeah, and I guess for anyone who's out there with youth, the reason that your parents are there to protect you and guide you, and if you're still alive to this point, they've done a good job, right? And so they are worth honoring, and with time comes experience, and that's the thing as youth, as when you guys are young, you guys don't have that experience. You lack experience. And so if you don't have the experience, then you could easily fall in the wrong direction, or you could easily, don't get down. The snake's about to bite you, right? And you're like, what? Or like laugh it up, and then the snake bites you and kills you, right? I heard a story of that when my mom told me that when I was a kid. The mother's like, it was just a bad kid. She's like, get down, the snake. And the kid was just disobedient, and the snake bit him, and there's nothing that could be done. And, your parents are there. Most good parents are there to keep you alive.
Like we say, parents in the Torah are there to keep you alive.
Yeah, parents in the Torah. And even if they're not in the Torah, a lot of people have been deceived, right? There's a lot of really good parents that will never ever pick up the Torah, that will never ever pick up the book. And, it's sad because they're not seeking our Creator, and their lives and their families and everybody could be so much better, right? There could be just a tremendous amount. And there's a tremendous amount of respect. Like the parents will respect the kids far more when they're being honored. The easy way to get into, just a dysfunction in the family is to start duking it out with your parents. And, I don't think any house needs that. Any family needs that. And,
we talked about that this week, this week. About Solomon talks about the family breaker, that you'll be cursed if you are bringing your family down. And we talk about like fighting with your family and being the child that is disobedient, doesn't want to listen, arguing with your family, your brothers or siblings, and that person will be cursed for bringing their house down.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something we keep it very real when we're talking to you guys, and that is a dysfunction we have in this house is camaraderie and
sibling rivalry,
and it is something I'm an only child. So I do not understand the things I see out of brothers. And sometimes it drives me nuts. And it is something that I hope with age will disappear. But it's something that, there's, you don't treat people in the world like you treat, your brothers. And I don't have any sisters. I can't relate to any of this. Other than as an only child parent, it's been very interesting to raise multiple children and see how respect is, how you guys treat each other, and how bad it can get. Because it only takes, I mean, we can raise the roof on this house in 5 seconds by letting you guys argue, and then it just continues on, right? If we don't stop the useless bickering quickly, we all fall into it, and by the time the day is done, we're all just so tired of hearing people grumble and bicker, and it's a lot of it is just joking, right? And Eli, he's a jokester. He's a big old jokester, and I was a jokester as well. That's where I can relate to this. I've always been, the jokey Smurf. I was the guy that loved jokes at the expense of other people's stuff. But at the end of the day, we can't really have that because there's a lot of it that'll turn into disrespect. And it turns bad, and so we got to chill out, and we got to come back to it. And what I tell all these guys is we have to understand Messiah could very well be sitting around us listening. If not, we know for sure that the angels and the messengers will definitely deliver up reports. And I think Yah is omnipotent, that he knows what's going down. Like, he's with us in heart, mind, and soul. And so if we are allowing arguing to happen, I believe that unclean spirits are able to infiltrate us, and it just goes worse. And so we try to nip that very quickly, or I do. And it's interesting. It's interesting times. So yeah, we're putting it all out on the table for you guys. All right, let's move on. Do not kill. I don't have any experience with that. Anyone?
No.
Kill a cow.
Kill the cow. Yeah. So what does that mean?
We're talking about. I think we're talking about like human lives here. Don't kill innocent lives,
because
there were moments in the Bible where you had to kill your enemies, where the enemies were coming at you, and they were commanded to actually kill the people, to leave nothing left and burn the city. But I think he's talking about the people of YHWH. Just don't sit there and contemplate murder of your neighbor for no reason.
So are we only talking about human beings?
I would say don't kill your neighbors, animals for no reason either. Like, unless you're like,
that'd be evil.
You go kill them because you don't like them. I mean, that.
What command, if we killed our neighbor's animal, what command are we breaking?
Oh, we're breaking it down the list. It'll be
A little list on this. Okay.
about hurting your neighbor's donkey.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing stuff like that.
There's certain things.
As a child, I had a little .22 gun, and I would go out and I'd blow the squirrels away. I would kill any bird I could find. I didn't eat these things. I didn't even touch them. They just dropped them and killed them.
Left them there.
Yeah, left them there. So was I breaking Torah?
I don't think so.
But Yah's sparrows are even fed, right? Yah's he knows everything about that, and
See, there's a difference between killing for food and then killing for fun. I mean, you have hunters that just go out and kill for fun, and there's people that kill for food.
that is very true. That is very true. So where is the line of do not kill?
I think it's mostly people.
I think it's humans as well.
Because I mean, a lot of animals are meant for food.
Sometimes there are animals that are like you see a coyote out there that's eating your chickens, and you go hunt that coyote down so it doesn't come back and kill your chickens. You got to kill that thing, because if not, it's going to eat everything you have.
Right, and where would that fall under a command we've already talked about? Didn't we already do this one about dominate? Don't let the animals dominate us.
Yeah.
Dominion over all the
animals. Yeah, so don't let them rise up and kill you. All right, do not break wedlock. That's something I don't know if you guys will ever get to actually see as wedlock on this, happening. But if you did end up getting married, that is the number one thing that will. It's a marriage killer, right? It is completely a marriage killer. You will lose your respect of your spouse. You will lose absolutely everything.
Respect
right?
of yourself.
Not even respect of yourself. If you do it once, you'll do it again. And there's habitual people that they live in an adulterous relationship. And it's dangerous because the world is so contaminated with STDs and things of that nature. It's like 1 in 3 people in North America has some killer STD.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and so I mean, if you're whoring yourself out and doing that kind of stuff, you're breaking your family. I guess the number one thing of anything is a family, and a faithful man is very important, and a faithful woman is even more important. I guess they're both extremely important on that. And when one defiles that oath, I don't know if there's even a turning back, because what does the Bible say? If your wife goes out and cheats on you, what do you do?
Well, Yeshua said you can write a certificate of divorce for it, right? But people were supposed to, if they were like, they were cheaters,
Yeshua said that?
stoned. Yeshua said he said there should be no reason for divorce unless for sexual immorality.
Right. So, where does the forgiveness come into this? If you have a cheating, unfaithful spouse, where does it stop? What is the command?
Back then, you're supposed to stone the person and the cheater. If you're getting cheated on.
What is the command? We know this command. What is it? If you are defiled by another man or woman, you are not to take that person back.
Yeah, you're supposed to that.
It's over, right? So I mean, that is the command. If you, and I mean that's hard on a family to say that. But again, if you've been cheated once, they're gonna cheat again. And if you're living your life that your wife or your husband is always out whoring themselves, that it's the wrong relationship, right? Number one, you did not get into a Torah-based relationship, and that is a problem in and of itself. If you're unyoked, and that's why they say it's unyoked. And so, if you guys were ever to find a woman, unless she was completely Torah observant, I would probably say no. This is probably not the right woman for you, because unless you are seeking Yah, unless your entire family is seeking Yah, there is a tremendous amount of evil that can come across you. And there are a tremendous amount of women that will sit there and flip their eyelids at you and try to seduce you. And I mean, here's one more story. Even when we had an organic food store, we would have these older women come in and hit on my kids when they were 14 years old. It's just like, I think we called them cougars. The cougars came around and they were trying to take off with my kids. I'm like, yeah, okay, get out of here, beat it. So anyway, that's it. Do not steal. That's pretty obvious, right? What is stealing?
It's like
Jade, is eating a grape in a grocery store stealing without paying for it?
I would say it wasn't your property. You didn't. It wasn't. Someone else paid for it, and you took something that they had paid for.
It's not yours. If it's not yours, it's stealing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's still stealing.
I go the same with downloading, like torrenting.
Torrenting, yeah, absolutely.
That's probably more people
stealing movies.
More than physical stuff. I'd say it's more like digital.
Nowadays, it is.
Sin has become much easier, right? You don't physically have to go to a store to steal.
Go online, click download.
Click download, and you don't have all movies are out there. If you were into evil movies, which you absolutely should never ever be watching movies. You should never ever be watching Disney. You should never even have a TV on.
No TV at all.
Never ever ever let your kids watch TV. Not a moment of it. It completely ruins them, and it will ruin them. So.
If you have a TV, toss that thing out.
Yeah, toss that out. All right. Do not make false accusations against your neighbor. Any ideas on this? I mean, what?
Don't go to like the.
So this would be like a guy. So we live out in the middle of zero. There's no neighbors. We don't have anyone. So this would be like living in a little subdivision, and the husband's all driving off to their work, and the women are sitting there like, oh, hey, the milkman came over, and it was like something, and the milkman didn't come over. Right, and then all of a sudden, this guy heard that the milkman had come over to the wife, and all of a sudden, the guy goes completely ballistic and destroys the family up, and this woman is innocent. Right, so you can completely destroy families when things like this happen.
We talked about lying. We've talked about this week too about the talebearers and those who like spin lies.
Yeah, and it's not good.
It will ruin trusts. It will ruin people's lives. I mean, even if it ends up being a false report and the case gets solved that it was actually the person that ran it, they're still always in their mind. They're always gonna be like, did this person really do this and ended up wrong?
You will ruin a person's reputation, and if you ruin a person's reputation, if those people were out there, fishing for men for Yah's stuff, and then you're like, oh, well, I can't go here. This guy's an adulterer with a milkman or something. They're not going to listen to them, and so it's not a good thing at all. All right, do not make an altar from rock that a metal tool has touched. We've gone on with that a little bit before. It's a weird command. I just missed one. Thanks, Nicole. Do not covet anything of your neighbors. What does that mean?
That means if you see your neighbor with a nice shiny lawnmower, you shouldn't sit there and lust for it. You shouldn't sit there and drool over it. You should
Why should you not covet stuff?
Because it creates jealousy and contention, and it's just like
breeds more sin.
It breeds where you might actually go steal that from your neighbor.
Neighbor dies, and the lawnmower's over there. Like, oh, nobody's gonna take the lawnmower.
Before someone else gets it,
I better get it. Yeah, exactly. And so it will breed other evil. All right. Do not make an altar from rock that a metal tool has touched. Do not go up to the altar by the steps. Again, we don't know exactly what this is. We don't know if this one will stay in there.
You gotta understand, I guess, the design of whatever the altars were.
Yeah, so some of these, we have 50 dialed in here, 50 commands that we believe are solid. This one I'm not so sure about, and so it will This is a pending list that will go or not. Do not oppress the fatherless or widow.
I mean, they've already been through enough. Why do they need to have you sit there and destroy their lives even further?
Right. Yeah. No. Why? Yeah. There's no reason to. And in fact, the Bible is riddled full of stories where you're supposed to take care of the widows. You're supposed to take care of
There's Torah commands about taking care of the widows, about leaving parts of your corners of your fields.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So Yah has a place for absolutely everybody, and he understands pain, and he understands heartache and things of that nature. All right, do not eat what is torn of any beast. We've gone over this before, but
It'll make you sick. But
yeah,
it'll make you sick. Some beasts that kill things will have a disease like rabies or something inside of them, and it will pass on through the meat. If you eat that and you find on the side of the road and eat that, you'll probably end up with some sort of sickness.
Yeah, and
intestinal issues.
Yeah, it's not good, right? Definitely not good. No false report. You should not raise a false report. Same as like the other thing.
Not make a false accusation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not even gonna go to the example of people down here in this country we're in. Of what they did to evil, they did serious evil, serious false reports. In fact, they imprisoned a kid who's still in prison falsely, and it led to our house being raided because we stood up for this kid. Literally 6 a.m, 15 cops come down in trucks and like they wanted to kick our doors in, but our dogs wouldn't let them. So we had to allow them in, and
They flipped the whole house.
yeah, they flipped our entire house over, and it was because we were going against like about 100 different Christians that were down here, and this little kid was part of it. I said I wouldn't get into this, but here I go. The kid was part of this their little thing, and he was only like 12 or 13 when they first met him, and he had grown up with them. Well, he ended up becoming they had him in a sex slave thing, and so he was being molested by one of their own, and
they defended the pedophile.
yeah, they defended the pedophile because the pedophile was their ministry group, the upper echelons of the ministry group. We took them all on. We took every single one of these on, and I guess they had some Freemasons or something in the group where they were able to flip the tables, and instead of justice being done for this child who's still in jail, still pending trial. They went after us and essentially silenced us. We were unable to do a tremendous amount after they came and flipped all of us in our house. I mean, it was a message from the devil for sure. And so we did all we could. It's in Yah's hands. Continue on.
Did you say why he was in jail?
He was in jail. Oh, well, the pedophile was murdered. And they said somebody killed the pedophile, and this kid had actually escaped like a year before this, and they brought him back into this whole thing. The kid was not the murderer. Whoever murdered the pedophile was, probably another victim of his. But yeah, the guy, the church leader guy was killed. Somebody brutally killed him, and then they all put their finger at this kid, and all of these guys. 40 of these people all came against him. They blackballed us and eventually got our house raided for this entire thing. And they found nothing. So nothing here. Except at the very end, I gave them a whole pile of Bibles. That was the glory of the entire thing. The cops when they came and flipped our entire house. And when they found absolutely nothing, our house is in shambles, destroyed. As we were walking out to the very end, I broke out Bibles out of my truck, and I gave every single one of them a Bible, and I told them that YHWH loved them. And so that was the end of that. Okay, let's continue on. No false report. Do not follow multitude of evil. I mean, that seems obvious, but I mean...
You've seen evil. You look at Babylon. Everywhere in Babylon's multitude of evil.
Yeah, they got parades of evil people going up and down the roads. Strange people. All right, let's move on. Don't judge unrighteous against the poor. Okay, what does that mean?
That means if you have a problem here with a rich man or a poor man, and the rich man is coming against the poor man, you need to judge righteously. You need to put all the facts out on the table. You can't just say, well, this guy's rich, he's got the money, he will pay for this, and then this. And then you got the poor guy, he's got nothing, let's just throw him in prison. That's
what they did against the child, right? Because they were like, nobody wanted to all these. We're in a brown country, and these were white people. And in this country, if you're white, you usually have money. I think we are the only exception of being extremely poor. We're like poorer than the indigents here, and these guys were filthy loaded, right? They all had it, and so the cops were like, "Oh, of course, this indigent boy must have done it." And
there was a whole pile of them too. So.
Yeah, a huge pile of them, tons of them. So it was very evil, very evil. All right, I said I wasn't going to get started on that. Do not judge a righteous. Yeah, so if a poor person commits a crime, he still needs to pay the price of that crime.
needs to be weighed and judged rightly.
As judged righteously, right? Just
If
because
the
he's
poor,
poor.
if the poor guy stole, he still has to pay for what he stole.
Yes, same Torah applies for poor and the rich. Okay, bring back your enemy's cattle if you find it going astray.
There we go.
There we go. And so there it is. And that would probably be the same. Don't kill your enemies.
It's help
Thing.
your animals.
Right? If there's some guy, if some guy that like really hates you and you don't like him, if you see the animal go away, bring it back to him.
Yeah, don't take it out on their animal, unless of course the guy's beating his pig or beating his animal or something. Which we actually know this guy that he's a drunk and he sits there and beats his pig or something. It's just the craziest thing ever. Yeah, help the animals of your enemy. Untie the pig so the pig doesn't get beat up. Yeah, let him run away. Run to the jungle, little pig. All right. Stay away from rumors and gossipers. That's a huge thing. You know, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. It's all rumors and gossipers and people that they're just nose book, right? Your life will be destroyed. Take no bribes. Don't oppress a stranger. Give your land rest in the 7th year. Real quick on back to don't oppress a stranger. What does that mean? Because we know that you guys did another verse in Youth for Yah that you're not supposed to have surety for a stranger.
Right.
You guys got through that, right?
Yeah, like you're not supposed to put your life on the line for someone you don't know, but you're not supposed to sit there and attack a stranger as well, because back in their day, they had thousands, if not millions, of strangers in their midst that weren't Yasharites, that weren't part of Yisrael.
Other countries, other tribes.
They were from everywhere else, and who was like, just because they are different from you guys, because they're not bloodlines, don't oppress them. They want to be part of your people too. You know what it's like to be oppressed. You were oppressed for 400 years by the Egyptians.
Yeah, and the stranger is only a stranger because we don't know them. And if they want to keep the law, statutes, and commands of our Creator, that's another brother and sister right there. I mean, everybody's a brother and sister, but the real brothers of the kingdom are those who will receive the message and those who will obey the message, right? And the stranger, everybody, if they're a stranger and you oppress them, you will never ever have a chance to witness to them, right? These people will tell you, they will say, man, this guy's a jerk. And they won't want to listen to you, because if you're a jerk to them, then you come back and say, hey, let me tell you the Besorah. Let me tell you the good news of the Messiah. This guy's going to go, well, I don't know, man.
We talked about that this week, too. We talked about it a lot this week.
Wow.
About being kind to the stranger. If you are not kind to that person, you may lose your one chance you had to save the person's life. It might be the only time they ever hear it. And if you are evil to them and you push them away, they will never get that chance. They will not want to be like you.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't out babysitting dogs. I could listen into the Youth for Yah live. That would be super cool. Yeah, kid.
That's something the Jews have in their Talmud, is if a stranger wants to join the Jewish people, you're supposed to stone them. You're not supposed to let the goyim in. That's in their Talmud, to hate
kill the
people.
goys.
And that's against the Torah right here, is to, if someone wants to join in with their family tribe of Jewish people, they're supposed to basically destroy them and stone them and not let them do it. And anybody that helps the goyim, any Jewish person, will be boiled alive with water, is what it says in their Talmud.
Yeah, they're pretty cool people.
So help the stranger if they want to join the Torah. Teach them the Torah.
Yeah, help the stranger. Absolutely. Don't oppress a stranger. Somebody comes for you looking for food and you got food, give them food. They come looking for whatever it is. Don't come here looking for money. We don't got none. But we will give you rice and beans. We'll give you some beans.
And give you a Bible on the way out.
And some flour with some bugs in it. And a Bible. Yeah, we'll definitely give you a Bible on the way out. Okay. Give your land rest in the 7th year. Again, I think we would need to be on Yah's schedule.
So we got to figure out what the timeline is.
We'd also want to be in the land, I believe, because I that's the special land, right? And I mean, if the entire world was this, maybe it should be. I don't know. If we knew what Yah's calendar was and we had 6 productive years, our 6th year should be super productive, and it should give us a whole bunch of stuff so that we're able to survive the 7th year without it. But that's what it's about. It is a command. Okay, do not mention any pagan names. That's anything.
I mean, there's a lot.
Even our basic months, we talked about before, our basic months have pagan names written
Days of the week. English
The
is
name Jesus
is pagan.
is a pagan name.
It's Greek.
It's Jesus, right? And it's Isis. It doesn't even sound close to Yeshua.
Yahusha.
Yeah, Yahusha.
A lot of things in the world now. Everything's based off of false deity.
Everything is based off false deity. Everything. All of the Trinity is Tammuz, and it's like Semiramis and Nimrod and their false child of Tammuz and all that kind of stuff.
Don't mention.
Oh yeah, we're not supposed to mention it. Thanks, Nicole. I'm probably just Father, forgive me, please. I'm super sorry. Yeah, we shouldn't be mentioning them as an example. Please discard that from your minds. Okay, keep the feast of Yahuwah. Again, it's a reiteration for the feasts of Yahuwah. There are a lot of feasts and a lot of holy times that we should be doing, including the blowing the shofars on the new moons. Okay, do not cook your goat in the mother's milk. For any of you guys that are out there deciding to slaughter your the goat, little baby goat, don't kill it in there and don't boil it in your mother's milk. Obey the messenger Yahuwah sends before you. And this may sound like a really strange one, but as we get into these end times, as we get into, I don't know, what's to say, the blue helmets all around us and things of that nature when it comes, there will be a time that I believe the Exodus will happen. That like, I don't know what's going to happen. Number one, you have to be ready to go to the very end, right? You have to be able to die for the name of our Messiah and for the word of Yahuwah. Totally, right? And that's what the Revelation says. Most of us will die. And that's not the end, right? That's the beginning. And even though this seems like such a long time span and it just takes forever, and I'm 45 and it seems like it's taking me forever to get here, one day is 1,000 years to Yah. And I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, wow, Yah, this is a new day for us, but this is like, it's not even a fraction of a day for you. And, for somebody that's infinite in time, and time means nothing, our time is really nothing. So when the Exodus comes and it's the angel of Yah, obey what he says. What he says, come with me now. Like, I don't think so. Okay, then, end up dead. Okay, do not bow down to other Elohim, ever, right? And that, the entire Catholic Church, Buddhism, I don't know, even I would say even in Christian churches when you're getting on your knees before the pulpit, and they have altar calls all the time where you come up and you get before your knees and you pray before the cross and things of that nature. It's not Yah. He's not in the temples of man. All right, serve Yahuwah. Is there any explanation we need for that?
I would
No,
say
you didn't, sorry.
Okay, serve Yahuwah. Any explanation I need for that?
obey his commands.
I mean, serving him would basically be doing what his commandments are. If you were commanded to do it, you'll be serving him by doing his commands.
So is eating pork serving Yah?
Oh.
That's the opposite. That's quite the opposite. That's like, and
abomination.
what's the opposite word for not serving? Disservice?
Disservice to Yah. Yeah. So if we're not serving Yah, and I mean, what happens if we're teaching people? What happens if we are teaching people how to speak in tongues when it's not even like a biblical thing like that?
Well, it talks about teaching people and leading them astray and teaching them to break commands. So
Yeah, and so
teaches they will be judged more than those who do not teach.
yeah, and we're in a strange time in this world. Definitely strange. All right, make no covenant with other Elohim. What does that mean? You shall not cut no covenant with them, nor with their Elohim. They shall not dwell in your land. I think the command here should be make no covenant with other Elohim or people or outsiders of the land.
Right, other people that are worshiping other things don't make covenants.
What does
with
that
them.
mean? Cut a covenant with them.
So I think this would be like if you, almost like maybe kind of in the land, but don't maybe hear.
What would a covenant be though?
Like, don't let them live. Like, hey, I'll let you live here. You can stay here. I'll stay here.
How about this? How about I find a girl over there in a thing and we cut a marriage
I'll
covenant?
you intermarry.
Yeah, and so you guys cut a marriage covenant with somebody that's not.
That would work.
Someone that's sitting there, the pagan priest.
Yeah,
over
and
there.
you pretty soon you come back and you have an Ashroth pole in your backyard or
You got
something.
the crazy pagan jewelry on. You come back and you're like, "What happened, man?"
Hey, Dad, I shaved my head. I have gold earrings all
I
over.
meant the false mighty ones. And you're like, and that's how pretty much all of Yahshua went astray. Like almost every time, is they were like, they didn't kill off all the people they were supposed to kill off, so they made covenants with them and they let them live. And Yah's like, in Judges, he's like, you guys did not do what I said. You guys let the Canaanites live, and now I'm going to let them be a thorn in your side, and you guys are going to continue to get exiled. And all throughout Judges, they were like exiled like 4 or 5 different times.
All the way to Shaloma, right? All the way to Shaloma, which he got because of his actions with
cut a
women.
covenant with
Cut
other women.
all 700, like 300 wives, 400 concubines or something, right? And you, at some level, you're trying to appease all of those women. And all those people come from other backgrounds. And all those people
You
are
got from all over the world.
Yeah, and I mean, if you grow up in a religion of like whatever it is, like if you were part of like Joseph's wife, I mean, they were all into like cutting blood cutting.
Joseph probably had some issues. He's probably struggling.
Joseph worked. I think he worked through it, man. I think that woman was a smart woman, and she figured this out that there's one Elohim, and it's not their stuff. All right.
I mean, even at the end of the day, Pharaoh was blessing Yah. So, I mean, I feel like there was at least one generation of the Egyptians where they were, like, blessing Yah, and then somehow they went back to their roots.
Well, Yah to them was just another god, but this was like, I mean, they had a ton of gods, but this guy's like, oh, okay, we know the Elohim.
Like the Elohim of all Elohim.
Yes, well, I don't know if they said it was the Elohim of all Elohim, but they said because they still had other gods. I mean,
Right.
if they served him with only one Elohim, then they would not have continued in with their other gods and things. All right. We're almost done, guys. Do not make or use this anointing oil on a person. Now, this is some special concoction.
And it tells the recipe in one of these, and it says, don't make these, don't pour on people. Only Levites are supposed to make these.
Yeah, and so this is the super secret stuff that you shouldn't do. And I don't know if it's super secret, but because he tells us.
But it's super sacred.
Yeah, super sacred. And so I don't think it would be like myrrh. And if you mix myrrh and cinnamon, I think that would probably be all right. It's talking about calamus, cassia, myrrh, and scented cinnamon. So those 4 things in an olive hen. Like if you were some, I don't even know what the cook of a perfumer. I don't even master perfumer or something. I don't even know what that'd be. But if you were a master perfumer, you put this together like this, that's not right. And I'm sure it smells amazing, but we should not be doing this. And then 50, which is the last one, which makes up the very first 50 commands of Yah, is do not make or use a perfume on a normal person. And again, it is...
it's in the little recipe.
Yeah, it's stacta, onycha, galbanium, pure frankincense, and mixed with salt and mixed with pure and sacred ash. So this is not for us. So I think we're going to leave it at that because I wanted to do basically the first 50 commands of Yah, because I think we have them pretty much dialed in. There may be one in here that we do. It's maybe only the 49, but for what we can find right now, to Exodus 37, this is it. And then we will continue on reading here in the next segment when we do this. And again, we're going to try to do this live. So these are the, I guess as the Christians say, the cursed laws of the old Egyptian people. It's only for God's chosen people, is what they say. I've actually heard them say that. That's only for God's people.
Even if that's the case, even if they use that mindset, don't they want to be God's chosen people? Is that not a thing people want to be?
No, because they have a new religion. They have the Christian religion. They're a follower of Christ, but it's actually more like Paulism. They're a follower of Paul.
The thing is, Christianity was never mentioned once in the Bible.
Actually, there was one place that said Christian, I think in Acts. I looked that up one time.
Don't know if it's in this
translation. Probably not in the right not translation, but no, it has nothing to do with that. But if you are a follower of Christ, he did the will of his Father, right? He says over and over. You can read John, the book of John talks completely about it. He does nothing of his own will. It's all of what his Father's will is. He's only. In fact, he calls himself. He's like, if it was only me, I don't have another witness, but I call upon the witness of my dad as the other witness, And so his commands, the commands, if you want to love our Elohim with all your heart, mind, and soul. How do you do that when you toss his laws in the trash?
Right, and it says to be like Yehoshua, and Yehoshua followed Shabbat. He followed the feasts. He taught, and he was a kind of person. He didn't break the laws. He wasn't out there sacrificing pigs. He wasn't out there worshiping other people. He was always doing the Torah.
Yeah, and you didn't ever see Messiah eating a ham sandwich or, instead of breaking, two fish and 3 loaves of bread or whatever it was, there's a pig,
They break the bacon.
Yeah, look, we have a pig that's going on the rotisserie. Everybody come up and take a big bite of ham. None of that, right? And so people are like,
he ate clean foods.
He only ate clean foods, and, it is important.
It says he was perfect, never sinned, and that means he never broke Torah because we know what sin is because of the Torah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, gentlemen. Well, thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate it. To all of our digital family out there that has made it all this long way, we really, really, truly appreciate this. We hope you guys have a wonderful Shabbat that is restful, that is blessed, and you guys have a wonderful day.
All right.
Shalom.
All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Bye. And I missed it again. Goodbye.